Hey, it's me, Alex, coming at you guys with a bit of a disclaimer, a bit of a note for the show, whatever. We're deciding to take out the news segment and the manga reviews from the episodes. I know, you guys are chomping at the bit to see what we think about Toriko and Dragon Ball. But unfortunately, we both felt that it didn't really makes sense as a topic of discussion. We're kind of just doing a book report that your old aunt would have at her house, you know? It didn't feel natural, and we were kind of just talking at each other for like 15 minutes at a time. So we felt like this would be a bit better, a bit more streamlined, and a bit more natural. And we hope you guys see it that way too. Obviously, that means we're going to have to take more time to bulk up the main segments of each episode, but I don't think you guys will mind that too much, will you? But without further ado, let's get right into episode 3.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to O-Tōkushō. This is episode 3, and welcome back.
How's it going, everyone?
We're going to be focusing our attentions towards just general art and animation in manga and anime, and comparing the two. Alright, so art in anime compared to manga, right, is ultimately just a question and discussion about adaptation.
Right.
So, how good the art looks in an anime compared to a manga is, of course, subjective, because, art is art.
Yep.
But, when you appreciate the manga and the anime at the same time, you're a bit more qualified to actually make, like, an objective, observation, right, about them. And I'd like to say, with rare exceptions, the art in the manga tends to be better than the anime.
Oh, for sure. Like, no question.
It's mostly just because of time, right?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of time and detail you can put into a manga volume is usually a lot greater than in an animation. Just because you can't make every frame look beautiful. There's no way.
Exactly.
There's even entire, memes about, just how bad, in-between frame art is. Specifically, in Dragon Ball and One Piece. Oh boy, it gets real bad.
The Dressrosa period it was painfully bad. I can see why so many people, stopped, watching the One Piece series at that time. It was bad.
Horrendous. Yeah. Some of the line work in that was so thin and poor that it looked like you could have actually made it on, Microsoft Paint. Legitimately. It's, ooh.
I mean, it's partially Oda's fault for making Dofi's coat so, stupidly,
intricate, yeah.
But at the same time, I guess to be fair to Toei Animation, they were doing both Dragon Ball Super and One Piece at the time.
And they can only focus on one for so long, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a fan thing for One Piece that some people think it'd be better for One Piece as a whole if instead of having the episodes come out weekly, they came out in seasons so that you could give them time to actually make proper story pacing and make proper, detailed and and actually caring animation for it. Because it would do the series a service, and it's not like the fans can't wait. They still have the manga.
There was a period of time where I would have agreed with that, but ever since Wano started, I've realized that, maybe that's not entirely true.
It's possible to have both.
Yeah.
I think the pacing one...
Wano's so good. Oh, it's so amazing.
I think the pacing one is still something that people have issues with. The only reason for that is because, the notorious structure of a One Piece episode... one quarter of the episode is intro and ending, and then another quarter of it is a recap, and another quarter is the actual episode, and the last quarter is the preview. If we got rid of the preview and the recap, you'd have so much more to work with, and you wouldn't have to worry about the ludicrous pacing of the show.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think One Piece has had an ending since, Enies Lobby, right?
That's fair. I mean, there's also the argument to be said that if you're watching One Piece properly, like intended, you'd be watching it every week, so you would presumably want, the recap and the preview. And you're not binging it, right? One Piece wasn't designed to be binged initially. Even though now, for anyone who's trying to get into the series, you gotta binge, because there's a lot to catch up to, man. But outside of the people trying to catch up, it wasn't meant to be binged, so it makes sense that it'd be like, this particular format.
Honestly, like I wouldn't even recommend people watch One Piece until they get to Whole Cake Island.
Oh, so like read until they get to Whole Cake and then watch from there?
Read until they get to like the wedding.
Wow. Okay. That's fair.
Just be like right when the moment when they introduce the Underworld Emperors is when they should start watching the anime. Because do you remember like that point like in the anime? Like they have like a musical number for all the emperors.
Yeah, like there was
the animation.
Yeah, there was a
really
notable
good.
shift in quality, like on every aspect.
It was so weird, but it was so
like
cool.
the music got better, animation got better, like this the way that the story was presented was more like cohesive. Yeah, like I mean, I of course have a biased love towards the OG anime because I actually stopped watching the anime after the time skip. The last of the anime I saw was Luffy using the King Kong gun for the first time. And that was it. I have not watched any anime episodes since then. That was the last time I ever watched any One Piece. And I've only been reading since. Yeah, so like, I'm biased towards the towards older One Piece. And, but even that being said, I recognize how poor it was in just a lot of aspects. There's certainly something to be said about the older animation style, how all the characters were a little bit softer, and like slightly less disproportioned, depending on which character you're talking about and which proportions you're talking about. But like, I don't know. There's like a generational thing with animation, specifically for long running shows, right? Like another really long running show that I personally know of and have experienced would be something like Hajime no Ippo. So that anime has like 5 seasons or something, and is decently long, even though the manga is ridiculous, but they haven't made more current anime adaptations of it. But in the existing anime adaptations, right, the art style in the beginning is super grainy, super like old school anime, right? Like it looks like classic Sailor Moon and like Inuyasha and stuff, where it feels like the art style and animation has a texture, like you could just touch the screen and it would feel like a rug. But as the series progressed, it became more polished. The lines became cleaner, everything was more crisp. And I don't know. There's some type of charm to the old kind, right? And One Piece had that too, where the first couple of arcs was in the much older type of animation, where everything was kind of rough, and then it started becoming more clean. Then it became too clean, and then too simple and clean, and then eventually went back to being like much higher quality. And now the existing style for the anime, I think, is a much better representation of the manga than the OG animation.
Yeah, I think another thing to consider with like art in in manga versus art in anime is I learned this in film class. You get a lot better details in black and white than in color.
That is true. That is true.
So like for instance, a lot of people really credit like Fishman Island's art as being like some of the best in One Piece. And then when you watch it in the show, it's very like underwhelming because it's just like, oh, this is just happening.
Yeah.
But like when you read it in like the black and white, it's like, holy shit, one guy did this, or like 2 people did this.
Yeah. The conveyance of like scale and different levels of color and shading is just so much more dramatic in black and white.
Oh yeah.
It makes things look a lot more intense. Well, I don't know about you, but like every time Zoro makes like a serious face or something in the manga, it looks so intense. But like in the anime, it's okay, unless they like do the highlights with like his eyes being red or whatever. It usually just looks like he's kind of a little bit more upset, and he doesn't look nearly as demonic as he does in the manga. So, okay, so for
I feel like we've been on One Piece a lot. I think I'm gonna switch to a different example, a more drastic example actually. Have you ever read the Seven Deadly Sins manga?
I love it.
Yeah, but like it's like the anime is so fucking different to the manga.
Yeah.
It's
especially
insane.
with the art, and also especially depending on when you're watching it. The first season was incredible.
But let's just only think about those first 2 seasons when Netflix still gave a shit about
And
it.
just pretend that's it. Like,
Yeah.
beyond season 2 doesn't exist. It's a fever dream.
It's all just imaginary.
Yeah, because in those cases, that's one of the rare occasions where the animation is actually better than the original art.
Oh yeah.
If we want to talk about like really sweet animation compared to like the art from a source material, you got to talk about stuff like One Punch Man and almost anything made by I think Studio Trigger, the ones who make like Gurren Lagann and stuff.
Yeah. Studio Madhouse also.
Yeah. Like these people are like
Hellsing is like when you read Hellsing, it's like it's all right.
It's too dark. You can't see anything. You have no idea what the hell's going on in Hellsing.
But then like Studio Madhouse is just like hold my beer.
Yeah, we're just gonna make all the dark parts that you can't see blood.
Exactly.
And if it isn't blood, shadows where there's potential for blood. Like they did a really good job with their adaptations for stuff like that. Well, I think the best adaptations for anime transitioning from a manga, right? Because there are rare occasions where it's anime first and then manga adaptation, right? Or sometimes it's just exclusive anime and there's no manga adaptations that are official. Obviously, there's gonna be like fan stuff, but like
like Lupin.
Yeah. So for the cases where it's manga going into anime, right? I think the best times that happens are when the manga artists themselves have a super specific style.
Yeah.
Like when the art is already stylized to begin with, it makes it so much easier for the animation team to make it like pop, right? And make it look really nice.
Yeah.
Like a popular example would be, My Hero Academia, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you don't necessarily like some of the story and the pacing, right? You gotta admit, it looks pretty, right?
It's like probably some of the best art in the game.
Yeah, like it's a real solid looking show and manga, right? And they really adapted the original art into the show and the movies very well, right?
Yeah.
And I think mostly that's just because of how stylized their artwork is, right? If you think of other really good examples of like super stylized and iconic art styles, I think Full Metal Alchemist also comes to mind.
Sure.
FMA's kind of always looked good, right? And it's also another really distinct visual style. Some people might not agree with me on Naruto being the same way, but I also believe that it looks, very specifically stylized and very nice. Outside of the one pain fight that everybody knows, that for whatever reason, they decided to take the animation and the art and they just put it through like a putty machine.
Dr. Stone's also another one that's like...
Yeah. Oh, Boichi, if you ever see anything made by that man, like anything else besides Dr. Stone made by that man, I highly recommend it. Yeah, he might actually be the best manga artist to ever live.
He's insane.
I'm only a little hesitant to say that because not a lot of people know his other stuff. But if you read like Sunken Rock or his like Cyborg manga that he made that nobody read, oh my god. Like that each page would have taken me like a year and a half to make. And I'm an artist.
Yeah,
so like crazy. It's nuts. Absolutely. And he's doing all this in black and white, right? Another flex. No color whatsoever to convey all of the different things that he does.
Yeah.
Like, hot diggity dog, that man can draw. I know why Dr. Stone is so cartoony compared to his other works. It's because it's meant to be a little bit more, like, appealing, and also a bit easier on him to make.
Yeah, holy shit.
Right? That and also all the science. The writing for that show and that manga must take so long.
Yeah.
Just for the research and everything. I'm pretty sure I remember reading somewhere that Boichi's actually, like, an engineer, which is where a lot of this comes from.
Yeah,
so, like, it makes sense.
All of his
right, like
all of
his
Shonen
machine stuff.
Jump interviews are like him talking about whatever the subject of the chapter is, or like, oh, I had to learn about this new thing today, and that was pretty interesting, or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, like he's a really smart dude too. It's very cool. But like, there's an anime that I actually did watch not recently, but I say recently within like the last 5 years as recently, which some people like, really stuck to initially, right? where I'm not entirely sure if them making a completely accurate manga adaptation is a good idea. So, have you ever heard of Maiden Abyss?
No.
Okay, so every type of warning. It is a very intense and very dark manga, but it has the visual aesthetic of like a children's cartoon.
Oh.
So there are characters getting molested, eaten, mutated, tortured, every possible heinous act done upon them, and they just look like children's characters. But like it's in such a refined like artistic style that it's so fascinating to look at and just see all the details that are placed there. But then you're reminded about the horrible like context of what it is.
Yeah.
Like the anime that they did for Maiden Abyss, as far as they've done so far, right? The first season is beautiful. The music is also incredible, and everything is so atmospheric. And the style, of course, is unique and very interesting and nice to look at. But I might actually want them to kind of hold back on doing full adaptations of all the art and everything. There's just a lot of child pornography in that manga. Like actual just child pornography at this point. Like there's no like sugarcoating it like, oh no, just an artistic choice, or like don't be a pervert. No. Like explicitly, that's just what it is. The guy who makes the manga just really likes that type of thing, and it's pretty obvious when you see some of their art books.
Wait, what was Maiden Abyss? Wasn't that the one like the author got like arrested or something like that? Or am I thinking of something else?
Maybe I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if that's the one.
Yeah,
mostly because they've released chapters recently, and I'm not sure if they could do that from prison.
Right. Yeah, I think I could think of like a different, another kind of manga to anime like transition that's like an interesting one, where it's like the art style of the series is like really either like loose or like cartoony or whatever, so then like the studio can just like fucking go wild with it. Hunter x Hunter comes to mind.
Yeah, that's
Seven
fair.
Deadly Sins is one. I feel like from what we saw, the same thing gonna happen with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like the art is very like either like not, I wouldn't say rough, but it's like
it's choppy. It's choppy.
It's choppy, or it's like very simple or something like that. And then like the studio that's working on it just like goes into overdrive to like fucking
Well, I mean, they did the same thing with like Soul Eater, Fire Force, and of course Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
They went ham on Demon Slayer.
Yeah, because nobody gave a shit about Demon Slayer before.
Not even. It wasn't even like a featured shonen in Shonen Jump. It was just like another one of the ones added to collection. Like you didn't even know about it for like the first 5 volumes. Like
exactly. I have
the hell's a Demon Slayer.
I have a screenshot on my phone that is like the Google Trend search for Demon Slayer.
Oh, and it just spikes like a plateau. Yeah,
like
it's just a sheer cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing they actually did there is a good thing to segue off to, is the use of color. Once they get the chance to do it, right?
Yeah.
There are very, very rare instances of manga which are fully colored. Like, I can only think of a couple. I don't even know their English names, but I can only think of a couple that have ever been fully colored, like the whole run through. And that's just kind of the difference between like comic books and manga, right? Comic books are almost always colored, and in fact, the ones that aren't are seen as like collector's items or stuff.
Yeah.
But manga are almost exclusively monochromatic, right? They're almost always just black and white, and the ones that are colored are the ones that would be seen as collector's items because they're so rare, right? And like different. So when it comes to the adaptation that comes from the art from manga into anime, the use of color can make a huge difference. Like, I think one of the reasons why Demon Slayer was such a big hit when they, made the anime for it is because their use of color emphasized so much stuff, right? Because the show is really dark, like visually dark.
Yeah.
The theming is obviously dark, demons eating people.
Yeah.
But the the visual aesthetic of it is also very dark, right? Because everything's kind of dilapidated. They're always stuck in the woods somewhere at night fighting demons because during the day they die, right? So the anime and the manga necessitates that everything has to be dark because everything's done at nighttime, right? So that they can fight demons. And because of that, the only way for you to really focus on anything is with bright colors. And they managed to make bright colors in their series not look gaudy, right? They have bright blues and bright reds and bright yellows and, you know, all of these primary and secondary colors that are as bright as can be, but it doesn't look tacky. Like, it makes sense within the context of the show. And the effects that they use for, like, the attacks and stuff are done in a way that it looks like it's drawn, which I think might be my favorite way to represent that in anime as opposed to digital effects that they use for everything else. Right? Like every other, you know, show out there, when they have like a character do something that's kind of nondescript in the show or in the manga, right? Like, oh, this character does a power in the manga, which allows them to do this, and the anime has to fill in the steps. They almost always fill in the empty steps with like a visual effect they have on the computer.
Yeah.
But like the way they did it in, you know, Demon Slayer was that they made it drawn out. The fire was still drawn as if there was like ink brushing on it. Like the attacks, you know, and all the like streams of water and everything following them was also looked like it was drawn. Even if it was done digitally, it still had the same aesthetic. And I think that was really nicely done. Honestly, I think more things should probably do that, but it might be hard to do. Just if it, you know, depending on what visual style it is.
Sure. I think another series that is probably going to end up like that is Chainsaw Man. Like, obviously it hasn't come out yet, but we didn't really see too much from the trailer, but it seems like it's the kind of series that's going to go that way with, like...
Yeah, it's kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen with the art style, and the fact that it's a little choppy, right?
Yeah.
Kind of rough, but it's also really complex. Like, there's a lot of layers to the art and stuff that Chainsaw Man has in it.
I'm just really hoping that they're not going to use, like, CG for when he's, like, actually in his chainsaw mode.
Just to save time and money, yeah.
Because it looked like he was. You know what I'm saying? In that trailer that came out?
Yeah. And we've already seen that fully CG anime can only work occasionally. Like, very occasionally. And even then, it's still kind of bad. Like, we haven't gotten to the point where it would be good.
Dorohedoro. Just because it looks too weird.
Yeah. Like, you have stuff like X-Arms and, like, the most recent Berserk adaptation where... full CG is... It's just a crime against art and entertainment. Like, but, you know, partial CG can work depending on how well they incorporate it, but sometimes it's really jarring.
Yeah, like
when it switches...
Baki?
Yeah, when it goes from regular fight, fully drawn, and then just a CG fist...
Dude,
like, wait a minute.
They fucking ruined the Orochi and Dorian fight with CG.
Yeah. Such a shame, man. But Baki seems to be falling under the same problem as, like, Berserk, where, like, the series is, you know, like, a borderline seinen shonen hybrid, and it's, you know, very gory and very difficult to emulate, because the art style for Baki is ludicrous. Like, it's so jarring. Like, it might be one of those cases of things being too detailed and stylized for its own good, because because it's doing its best to try to convince the reader that the setting is realistic.
Sure. Where
you have characters drawn like Olivia. Like, there's such a level of, like, cognitive dissonance between the character design and, like, the feats they're allegedly supposed to be able to do. It just, oh man.
But I will say the anime adaptation that's coming out now is pretty solid, especially in the new
this
season.
Is what, Hanma Baki?
Huh?
Is this Baki Hanma, or, like, which one of the Bakis is this?
This is, I think the first season that's like the old show, that's Grappler Baki. I think the one that just finished is just Baki, and then the one that's coming out soon is Baki Son of Ogre.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know and is confused by this, Alex is laughing here because Baki is one of those things where the author, right, technically does not have any long-running series. But by the most loose technicality possible, because this man might not have like a single series that has like more than 20 volumes or whatever, but he does have, let me count. Let's see. I gotta know, cuz oh baby, there's a lot. So this guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They have 13 different Baki spin-off / sequel / prequel / alternate reality Bakis.
Yeah.
You got Hanma Baki. You got Baki, period. You got Baki Duo. You got Baki Duo 2018. You got New Grappler Baki. You got Grappler Baki. You got the Baki Gaiden Scarface. You have Baki Gaiden Kenjin. You have Amusement Park. Baki's Tales of the Strong. You have Grappler Baki Remake, you have Baki Revenge Tokyo, Baki Gaiden, Kizadura, and then you have the Baki Isekai that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
And these are all made by the same guy, of course. Mm-hmm. And also, some of them are direct sequels to each other, and some of them are like spin-off sequels / like reduxes of the originals.
Yep.
Oh man. It's not comparable to getting into Fate because Fate's an entirely different beast. It's an entirely different beast, but it's really similar. Like trying to get into Baki is really similar to trying to get into Fate. There's just slightly less stuff with Baki, but there's so many different things to like just digest. Oh man.
Wild.
It is.
I am stoked about the Son of Ogre show that's coming out soon because I think it has probably some of my favorite stuff for Baki in it.
Oh, it's just like with the storylines and stuff?
Yeah, where he like goes into prison to fight Oliver and it's like...
Oh, yeah.
And he meets fucking Che Guevara for some reason.
Yeah, Olivia using... Yeah, right? He's just there.
Yeah.
He's Olivia using the meatball technique.
Oh, the meatball.
Yeah. Pac-Man just swallows you with muscles. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. Even though this isn't technically related to animation and art, I just want to know, who's your favorite Baki character?
Definitely Retsu.
Okay. That's a strong choice.
With Doppo coming in very close second.
My favorite character, by a landslide, is Hanayama.
True. Oh my god, I can't...
Hanayama's so cool.
Dude, that fucking line in the anime where it's like Kaoru Hanayama's powers have surpassed that of the gods. Oh,
it's so funny with Hanayama because out of all the characters in the show, he actually might lose the most outside of Orochi's son.
I don't know, does he? Because
yeah, Hanayama loses a bunch of fights. He's usually one of the first ones to go when they introduce a new antagonist. Just because he's like a really tough guy. And if we know that if he can beat Hanayama, like the antagonist, that they have to be a major threat, right?
But he didn't lose against Pickle. And he didn't lose against Spec.
Yeah, but that's about it. He's lost to Baki, he's lost to Yujiro. Well, everyone's lost to Yujiro.
Yeah, that's not
it. But he's also lost to basically everyone else in the main cast, as well as losing to what's it called? Losing to what's his name? The famous Musashi, and losing to new sumo guy.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet, but
in Baki Duo or Do, yeah. So he's lost his fair share of fights, but the hype that goes around this character, I could just eat that for forever. I could eat it up for as long as it takes for them to keep writing hype about Hanayama. He's so cool. That's his character. He's just the really cool guy. My second favorite after him, using Orochi, my second would actually be Yujiro. For almost the same reasons as Hanayama, but instead of him being cool, Yujiro is just terrifying and an asshole.
He's just bastard supreme.
Yeah, and there's just something endearing about that. He never apologizes for anything he does.
Dude.
And the only thing he does is commit war crimes.
Dude, in the fucking, like, in the Ride Tide tournament, he's a fucking menace. I
Yeah,
love
just
it.
he's just such scum, dude. I love him. He's so cool.
It's like, hey, if you were Japanese, you would have fucking killed yourself already, stupid.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, show true honor and grit. Kill yourself. Oh man. Something fun that we could do here, talking about animation and art. What do you think is the worst example of both for you in your experience? Like just absolute garbage tier animation and horrible art.
If I have to give garbage tier animation, it has to be probably Seven Deadly Sins seasons 3 and 4.
Yeah, the unreal, just not recognized by us seasons of Seven Deadly Sins. Yeah, it was really bad.
Like
I
worst,
do agree. It's very, very bad.
The worst thing about it is that it starts off like not bad. Like the part where King and Diane go back in time as Droll and Gluxinia. That like looks pretty good with like the Indiras and like
yeah,
that sort of stuff. It like looks not bad. And same thing when like the Sins are fighting Esterosa in season 4. It like looks pretty good. You're like, huh? Did they not fuck it up this time? And then when they get to the actually important fights, it just takes a fucking nosedive, and it's just so disappointing. Oh man, especially the fucking Escanor and Meliodas fight. Like,
oh, they should have done so much more for that.
ugh.
It was so important, and yet it's just okay. The fact that they reuse like the same attack, like animation, like 8 times in the one fight is just it's like slapping the viewer in the face.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like one of them is a hard cut to it too. Like they're doing a different attack, and it hard cuts to them doing the same exchange again.
Did you see like gifs from when the Sins were fighting Meliodas as the Demon King? That was diabolically bad.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't even be like they shouldn't have even gotten paid to do that.
Like yeah, that should have been a free job. Like
that was a crime most foul what they did to that in that series.
Absolute garbage.
In terms of like bad like manga, like I know this isn't really fair, but like probably Hunter x Hunter during like the Chimera Ant arc. But that's only because like Togashi was like sick during that time. But still, I can't like say that it doesn't look bad. You know.
So I have one that I looked up specifically for this. It was a series that I saw a really long time ago that I forgot about completely. But I need you to look at this. This might be the worst animation I have ever seen in any anime, by far. So you looking?
I'm looking.
Yeah. You're definitely using your eyes. That's about as much as I can really give this credit for. It allows the user to use their eyes. It's just so bad, dude. It's like Flash animation bad, but not even like good Flash animation, like early 2000s Flash animation bad. Yeah. Like this is rough. This is very rough. There's entire sections of this where some of the characters don't even have the same like opacity and like blur as each other.
Yeah.
Like there's basic art tenets that are missed here. Also, half the characters don't even blink. They've never blinked. Like, the closest sign to showing any type of movement here is just lines being drawn haphazardly in the back. Like, oh my god. So for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, because you can't, because you're not seeing the same thing I'm looking at, there was a anime that existed called Musashi Gando, which... oh my god, is so bad. There's like stuff here that they are just missing that are fundamental to just regular animation, and like consistency. There's parts in this animation where the entire fight's supposed to take place at night, right? And it's taking place at night next to like a big house in with like forest and stuff next to it, where the colors don't match. There's just random bursts of sunlight for whatever reason at night. Some characters, when they get hit by things, are stock stiff, and you just see like a spark effect coming off of them, as if this was like a Power Rangers episode or something. Like, it's wild, guys. This is very bad.
It's like Scooby-Doo shit. How bad?
Like, it's worse, actually. It's worse than Scooby-Doo shit. Like, there's legitimately impressive stuff in Scooby-Doo compared to this. Like, the CGI used to make, like, the super buff-looking Scrappy-Doo from the live-action movies is 800 times better than this.
I'm talking like the original, like, 60s show, Scooby-Doo.
Oh, like, actual, like, OG Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Where they have, like, where each episode is only allowed to have 20 frames.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even that is better than this. Like, Musashi Gando, how did... This was aired on TV. This was real.
That's
how did they...
really.
How did they broadcast this? How did the producers in good conscience decide, yeah, you know, this is good television. We could use this. Oh, man.
They probably fucking, like, shipped out the work to, like, Korea or something like that.
But this is, like, 1980s Korea.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
It's not
like,
good.
It's not good, man. So, as far as the manga side is concerned, I don't really think it's a contest when it comes to the worst art in manga, because I think the worst art in manga has to belong to One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Like the original One Punch Man. Oh, newer One Punch Man is almost at the same level as like Boichi stuff, where it's almost undisputably some of the best art possible.
Yeah,
like it's
Murata
incredible.
is fucking insane.
He's a monster. He's an artistic monster, especially considering he had health problems too as he was doing this.
Yeah.
Like, making One Punch Man almost killed him for the first couple volumes, and he's only been getting stronger because of it. It's awesome. But, like, original One Punch Man art is actually, like, sketches on, like, a diner napkin bad.
I didn't want to say one just because that felt a little bit too obvious, but at the same time, I did say, like, Togashi when he was, like, fucking sick and dying in bed. So, like, I'm not
Yeah, like Hunter x Hunter art is also real bad. Like, it's not good. There's very few instances of it where it's even really passable.
That's probably
like,
why the OVA and the 2011 anime are, like, so different in, like, style.
Yeah, because they decided to stylize it. They're like, you know what? Maybe making a direct artistic adaptation is not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we need to make these characters look like actual characters. Like, you know, I love the story and everything for Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, oh, God. Like, the reason... You know the story is good when he could still sell as many volumes as he has with his art.
And still have people, like, chomping at the bit to, like, get more.
Yeah, just to find more. Yeah. Like, the story is the only thing keeping this ship afloat, outside of, like, the anime adaptation being really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another example of anime art being better than the original.
Yeah.
By, like, a lot. Like, oh, man. The art for One and the art for Togashi are basically just storyboards.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like actual art, right? Like, that's what you would put like a storyboards for like an animation for later. Like, this is what a human is supposed to be in the scene, and this guy's holding a weapon. You can make that weapon whatever you want. Like, that type of deal.
To be fair to Togashi, when the volumes were coming out, he did go back and like finish the panels and stuff that like were unfinished when he made them.
Yeah, because if you didn't know, by the way, to the people listening, sometimes there were just entire panels that were just blank space. Like, there just wasn't stuff there when there should have been.
Just the speech bubble.
Like, there was nothing else. At that point, just make a book, dude. Just write an actual novel. Don't even bother with the art, because that's not here.
Yeah.
Oh, the artist for Bleach actually got some flack for that, for the recent stuff that he made.
Huh.
So Bleach is making a comeback, for anyone who doesn't know. And in the like the new like news coming out for Bleach on how they're releasing a new season, right? And they're going to be making like a movie, I think. The series creator also made a chapter, and there's very, very heavy implications that they're going to make an entire another arc of the series, and that's really exciting for people who like Bleach. But related to art in this is the fact that in the new chapters that new chapter that he released, there's just a lot of parts that don't have any backgrounds. Like, it's just a guy standing in blank space talking. And there's no background. But then it goes to like a big like wide shot and there's a lot of background. So like it just seems lazy, right? Now, mind you, I say seems lazy, but his art style is also really intricate. So like I understand, right? Like why they couldn't afford to do all of that, because the chapter came out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any like hints to this being like made over the course of like years or something. There was just an announcement for the anime coming out, and then all of a sudden this chapter just gets smacked onto the internet and people can see it. So like, it's understandable why the details might not be there, but he also got a lot of flack for just having just empty panels. I suppose his was a bit more warranted because Togashi isn't exactly known for having particularly good art anyway. So him having empty stuff is a bit more excusable.
Yeah.
It's not really out of character for him, you know?
But, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about,
art and animation.
So, that's about it. I have nothing else to add.
Yeah, that wraps up episode 3 for this week. We'll see you again next time, if you decide to come for next time. And if this is your first time participating or listening, not really participating, but listening, thank you for being here, and go back and, try to check out the other episodes. They're pretty cool, no pressure. I have been Jack.
I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace out.